I gathered the courage to ask my girlfriend to include another girl during our act. Asking her to have another girl join was the worst decision of my life. I shouldn't have done it on Valentine's Day of all days, but I did, and there's no turning back. It was around this time last year when my wife said to me, "Happy Valentine's Day, darling. I have a surprise." I replied, "It's a threesome." I meant it, and she knew it, partly from my facial expression and partly because it wasn't the first time I had brought it up. In retrospect, Valentine's Day probably wasn't the best day to mention it again. She had never been very receptive to the idea, but she hadn't completely ruled it out either. When she got home from work later that night and offered me a threesome, I was pleasantly surprised. "You were right before. My surprise is a threesome," she said with a seductive smile. "The best wife in the world. That's why I bought you this," I said, handing her a bouquet of flowers and a Valentine's Day card. "Oh, happy Valentine's Day," she said, kissing me. Looking back, I'm not even sure why I wanted a threesome in the first place. My wife and I had a perfectly great sex life, just the two of us, and logistically, 3 people. It sounded complicated, but I'd never done it before, and it was one of those things I wanted to tick off my bucket list. Then, "Who are you thinking of? You know, for the girl, the third?" I asked. "That's a surprise," she replied. "Get ready to go out in 15 minutes. Suddenly, my heart started racing. Goosebumps covered my body. In that moment, I replied, "Finally, it was happening." I thought to myself, and very soon I ran to the bedroom to pack whatever one brings to a threesome. But I was immediately perplexed. While searching for condoms in the room, I realized that after being married for a few years, I wasn't going to find any, so I settled for a bottle of cologne and my sexiest boxer briefs. I stuffed them in a backpack and waited patiently by the door. "I've never seen you so excited to leave the house," my wife remarked, as she slung an unusually large bag over her shoulder. I asked her with a flirtatious smile. "Oh, you'll find out very soon," she replied, joking with me. "Now what are you waiting for?" I did as she asked me to. I got into the car and climbed into the driver's seat while she locked up the house. I asked her once she was finally in the car. "The motel," she said, entering its name into the GPS. "That place isn't exactly romantic." I should have noticed it by the way she said it, but I was too excited, too distracted by what was about to happen, to catch any nuance in her voice. About 20 minutes later, we arrived at the motel. My wife checked in under our name and chose someone. When we entered the room, I almost expected to see someone inside. A woman chosen by my wife lying on the bed waiting for us. But when we turned on the light, the room was empty. A small, run-down motel room full of stuff. My wife must have noticed my judgmental look. "Don't judge a book by its cover. For what we're doing, only the bed matters," she said as she closed the door behind us. "She'll be here any minute now," she added, and hearing those words thrilled me. I ran to the bathroom to freshen up, and when I came out, my wife had already let in our guest, our third. There, sitting at the foot of the bed in nothing but lingerie, was a blonde woman who was in the midst of kissing my wife. Upon hearing me enter, both of them stopped and turned to look at me. "Of course, don't stop on my account," I said. My wife stepped back and sat on a chair next to the bed. "You two go first, I want to watch," she said. I thought to myself while shitting bricks, nervous that after fantasizing about this moment for years, I wouldn't be able to act. The woman took my hand and led me to the bed, where she turned me onto my back, jumped on top of me, and began kissing me. It was at that moment that I felt my wife moving around in the room behind us, but I was too aroused and too distracted by what was happening to think. Then I caught a whiff of something. I wondered what it was, but before I could look around to see what might be causing it, the woman looked at me and smiled in a way that made my heart race even faster. I was already nervous, anxious, trying to process that this moment, which once felt like a distant dream, was actually happening. She ran her hands over my chest with a soft, inviting touch, and for a moment, everything else faded away. My wife, sitting beside us, watched with a satisfied expression, as if she were savoring every second of an experience that had once seemed impossible. The next few minutes were intense. Everything flowed naturally, without awkwardness or hesitation. I didn't know if it was the adrenaline, the excitement of the moment, or the unexpected chemistry between the three of us, but each second felt like a revelation. My wife, who at first said she just wanted to watch, eventually joined in, and at that moment, I felt like nothing could be more perfect. It was as if we were completely in sync, knowing exactly what the other wanted. I had never seen her like this before, so completely immersed in the moment. When everything was over, we lay there, exhausted. The motel room was silent except for the faint sound of the TV playing in the background, which we didn't even remember turning on. The blonde woman gathered her things, gave us one last playful smile, and kissed each of us on the cheek before leaving. As soon as the door closed, I turned to my wife and held her hand. "That was incredible," I said, still trying to catch my breath. She smiled, her eyes shining with excitement. "Even better than I imagined," she replied. We got dressed slowly, taking our time. I felt like I had achieved something I never thought possible. The ride home was quiet, but it was a comfortable silence where words weren't needed. I held her hand the entire way, feeling more connected to her than ever before. When we got home, it was already late at night. We showered together, sharing knowing smiles, and got into bed. Just before turning off the light, she turned to me, still with that lingering excitement in her expression. "I have a special request," she said, hesitating slightly. I smiled, curious. "Anything, love?" She took a deep breath before speaking. "I want to do it again, but with someone else." I frowned, confused. "Someone else?" "Yes," she murmured, biting her lip. "But not another woman." The air suddenly felt heavier. My body tensed before I even realized it. "What do you mean?" I asked, a strange feeling forming in my chest. She looked away for a moment, as if gathering the courage to continue. "I want to try it with another man." The shock hit me instantly. It was like a bucket of ice-cold water had been dumped over me. My heart, which had been racing with excitement just moments ago, was now pounding for an entirely different reason. "Wait, what?" She sighed and squeezed my hand. "You got to experience something new tonight, and it was amazing. Now I want to know what that would be like for me. I want to feel what it's like from the other perspective." My mind was spinning. I didn't know how to respond. Just moments ago, everything had seemed perfect, like we had unlocked a new level in our relationship, but this was too much. "Are you serious?" I asked, hoping she was joking, but her expression was unwavering. She wasn't joking. "Yes," she said. "I want to know what it's like to be with another man, and I want you to be there, just like I was tonight." I felt a knot in my stomach. "You want me to watch? Or join in?" she said with a shrug. "But yes, I want you there with me." My mind refused to process what I was hearing. My chest tightened. I looked at her, searching for any hesitation, any doubt in her face, but there was none. She looked determined. "You want another man? After what we just experienced?" She squeezed my fingers between hers. "It's not about wanting someone else, love. It's about the experience. You got yours tonight, and I loved sharing that with you. Now I want the same for me." I stood up from the bed without saying anything. I walked to the bathroom and gripped the sink, breathing deeply. I looked at my reflection in the mirror and saw the turmoil in my own eyes. What was I supposed to say? How was I supposed to react? After a few minutes, I returned to the bedroom. She was still sitting on the bed, watching me expectantly. "So?" she asked. I let out a humorless laugh. "So what? Do you really think this is fair?" She frowned. "You wanted to be with another woman." And I agreed. "Why is this any different?" I ran a hand down my face, trying to contain the anger that was slowly rising inside me. "Because I never wanted to see another man touching you." She crossed her arms. "And I never wanted to see you with another woman, but I did it because I love you and I wanted to make you happy." Silence filled the room. I had no response. She stood up and walked over to me. "Think about it," she whispered. "I'm only asking for the same thing you asked of me." I couldn't answer. I turned around and left the room. I spent the entire night on the couch, unable to sleep, my mind racing. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She kissed me, made coffee, talked about her plans for the day. But I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. Something inside me had changed. Something had broken. And the worst part was knowing there was no going back. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. My heart was pounding, but not from excitement or desire anymore. It was a mix of anger, disbelief, and something I didn't want to admit, fear. Fear that this conversation had crossed a line, one that, once passed, had no way back. I had spent the entire night without sleeping, replaying every moment in my head. From the second she made that ridiculous request to now, where I sat alone, trying to process the fact that maybe I didn't know. My wife, as well as I thought. The sun started to rise and I heard her footsteps coming from the bedroom. I didn't move. I had no energy left to pretend things were normal. She walked into the living room and looked at me, surprised to see me there. "Did you sleep here?" she asked, as if nothing had happened. I took a deep breath before answering. "Yeah." She sat next to me and took my hand. Her touch, which once felt comforting, now felt cold. "Look, love, I know what I asked caught you off guard, but it doesn't have to be a big deal. We can talk about it." I finally looked at her. My eyes were heavy, not just from exhaustion, but from everything I was feeling. "Do you really not see the problem with this?" I asked, trying to keep my frustration in check. She sighed like she had been expecting this reaction. You're acting like I cheated on you, like I did something wrong. All I did was tell you what I wanted, the same way you told me what you wanted. What's the difference? I felt my blood boil at the comparison. The difference? I let out a humorless laugh. The difference is that I never asked you to do something that would make you uncomfortable. I asked about a threesome with another woman because I knew deep down it wouldn't hurt you. You agreed. You were there with me. And from what I saw, you even enjoyed it. But what you're asking me now is completely different. She rolled her eyes. Different because I'm a woman and you're a man? Because you think only men should get to have these experiences? That's not it. I stood up, running my hands through my hair, trying to think straight. I don't want this. I don't want to see another man touching you. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me happy. In fact, just thinking about it makes me feel betrayed. She frowned, looking offended. Betrayed? Then I should have felt betrayed last night too, right? Should I have been angry watching you with another woman? I crossed my arms, shaking my head. It's not the same thing. You were there. We did it together. It wasn't just me with someone else. But now you want to bring a man into our relationship. You want me to watch, and I just can't accept that. She was silent for a moment, watching me as if trying to figure out my reaction. Then she finally spoke. You're being a hypocrite. I laughed bitterly, unable to believe what I was hearing. A hypocrite? Yes, she said firmly. You wanted to have fun with another woman, and I accepted it. But when I want something similar, you lose your mind. That says a lot about you, you know? You're twisting everything. I snapped, unable to hold it in anymore. I love you, but what you're asking, it's not just something that makes me uncomfortable. It's something that would break me. I can't imagine watching you with another man. Not after everything we've built together. She crossed her arms and looked at me with frustration and disappointment. So you expected me to accept what you wanted without question? But when I want something, suddenly it's a problem? You think you get to decide what's fair and what isn't? I ran my hands over my face, feeling the desperation growing inside me. It's not about rules, it's about respect. I respected you. I respected your boundaries. I would never force you into something that hurt you. But now here you are, insisting on something that you know would destroy me. How is that fair? She stayed quiet for a moment. I thought for just a second that maybe she would understand, that maybe she would realize this wasn't just some irrational reaction, but something that was genuinely hurting me. But then, she took a deep breath and said, if it were the other way around, you'd expect me to accept it. I felt a lump in my throat. So what? If I don't agree, you're going to do it anyway? I asked, looking her directly in the eye. She didn't answer right away. She bit her lip, glanced away for a second, then met my gaze again. I don't know, she finally said. But I do know that if you really loved me, you'd at least think about it. A bitter taste filled my mouth. So now my love for you depends on how much I'm willing to endure watching you with another man? She didn't answer. She just looked at me with a neutral expression, like she was waiting for my reaction. But in that moment, something inside me simply broke. I don't think I can do this anymore, I murmured, almost not realizing. I had said it out loud. Her eyes widened in shock. What? I stared at her, and for the first time since this conversation started, I felt like there was nothing left to say. I can't be with someone who thinks love is measured like this. I can't be with someone who, after everything, still thinks this is fair. The silence between us was suffocating. She opened her mouth to say something but stopped, like she had finally realized that nothing she said would change how I felt. I stood up and walked to the bedroom to pack my things. My heart felt heavy. My hands were shaking. Part of me wanted her to stop me, to say she was wrong, that she regretted it, but she didn't say a word, and that told me everything I needed to know. She didn't care, and I couldn't stay any longer. After leaving the bedroom, still feeling the weight in my chest, I sat down on the couch, not knowing what to do. My mind was in chaos. I knew the conversation we had wouldn't just disappear from my thoughts. I needed a second opinion. I needed to know if I was really overreacting. So, without thinking too much, I grabbed my phone, opened Reddit, and made an anonymous post. My wife and I recently had an experience with another woman. It was something I had always wanted, and she agreed. Everything went well, but now she has asked to have the same experience, but with another man. She wants me to be there, watching or participating. I told her that it makes me uncomfortable and that I don't want to, but she thinks I'm being a hypocrite because I had my chance, and now she wants hers. Am I wrong for not wanting this? Am I being unfair? I posted it and put my phone down. I sat there staring at the wall, waiting for responses, believing that at least some people would understand my side. But when I opened the app a few minutes later, the comments had started flooding in. and most of them weren't on my side. Yes, you're a hypocrite. You wanted another woman, but now that it's her turn, you refuse? If the roles were reversed and she had refused the threesome, you'd probably call her selfish. You had your fun, and now you want to deny her the same thing? Grow up. She did it to make you happy, and now you should do the same. With every comment I read, my frustration grew. Was I really the villain in this story? How could no one see the difference? How could no one understand that this wasn't just about fairness, but about the fact that, to me, this wasn't just uncomfortable? It was devastating. I sat there staring at the screen, watching hundreds of people judge me like I was the worst person in the world, as if I were selfish or even manipulative. But one comment in particular really got to me. If you had said no to the threesome from the start, you'd have an argument. But you wanted it, you insisted, and she agreed. Now that it's her turn, you say no. That's not love. That's control. I felt my stomach sink. I knew it wasn't about control. I knew I wasn't saying no just to be selfish. But somehow, seeing so many people judge me so harshly made me question if I had really been fair. I put my phone away and sat there, unmoving, thinking. The only person who could give me a real answer was her. I needed to understand what was going on in her mind. I needed to know how far this went. I got up and walked back to the bedroom. She was sitting on the bed scrolling through her phone, not even noticing me at first. When she looked up at me, she didn't seem surprised, but she also didn't look guilty. "We need to talk," I said, keeping my voice as calm as possible. She put down her phone and looked at me. "About what?" she asked, like she already knew. I sat at the edge of the bed, rubbing my hands together, still feeling the tightness in my chest. I made an anonymous post about what happened. I started. I asked if I was wrong for not wanting this. She raised an eyebrow, clearly curious. "And what did they say?" I swallowed hard. That I'm a hypocrite. That if I accepted a threesome with another woman, I should accept this with another man. That I'm being unfair. She nodded slowly, as if she wasn't surprised. "And now?" I sighed, feeling the weight of every word before saying it. "I still don't want this, but I need to understand better." Her eyes lit up for a moment, maybe with hope, maybe with relief. "What do you want to know? Do you already have someone in mind?" She didn't answer immediately. The silence that followed was the worst part of this conversation. I wanted her to say no, that it was just a vague idea, but her silence said more than words ever could. "You do," I stated, feeling my chest tighten. She looked away, biting her lip, as if carefully choosing her words. "It's not what you think. Then explain it." I cut in, my patience running thin. She took a deep breath, crossing her arms. I had someone in mind in case you agreed. I didn't want to mention it before knowing your stance on it." "Who?" I asked, my voice colder than I expected. She hesitated. 1 second. 2. "A friend of mine." I felt my entire body tense up. "A friend?" I repeated, as if I hadn't heard correctly. She nodded slowly. "Someone I trust. Someone who knows how to respect boundaries." I stood up, feeling my head spin. "How long have you been thinking about this?" I asked, refusing to believe this was something new. She ran a hand over her face like she was tired of the conversation. "Since before our threesome." A chill ran down my spine. "You wanted this even before we brought another woman into our relationship?" She closed her eyes for a moment and nodded. "Yes, but I knew you'd never agree if I asked first." My heart sank. This whole time, all of this, and she had already planned this in her head. "So you only agreed to the threesome because you wanted to convince me afterward?" She opened her eyes and looked at me seriously. "I agreed because I love you and wanted you to have that experience. But yes, deep down, I also hoped it would help you understand my side." I couldn't respond. My chest was burning, my throat was tight. I didn't know what was worse, the fact that she already had someone in mind or the fact that she never wanted the threesome for the reason I thought. The weight of the truth crashed down on me in a way I hadn't expected. I never had a choice. This was always a one-way street. I just didn't realize it until it was too late. The day arrived. I had spent the entire week trying not to think about it, convincing myself that somehow I could get through this. But deep down, I knew. I knew that nothing in the world could prepare me for what was about to happen. From the moment I woke up, my stomach was in knots. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus on anything. My mind kept replaying that conversation, that confession, how she had already had someone in mind, a friend. She was excited. She didn't even try to hide it. I could see it in the way she was getting ready, the way she carefully picked out her lingerie, more deliberately than usual. I wanted to scream, to ask if she couldn't see what she was doing to me, but every time I opened my mouth to say something, I just couldn't. Was it fear, shame, or just the simple fact that no matter what I said, she had already made up her mind? So I just sat there, watching as she prepared herself for something that clearly meant more to her than anything we had ever done together. The doorbell rang. My throat went dry instantly. My heart started pounding. She looked at me through the mirror and smiled. "Everything's going to be fine," she said, as if she was reassuring me. I didn't respond. She walked to the door and opened it, and then I saw him. This guy wasn't normal. That was my first thought. Tall, broad shoulders, a physique that looked sculpted by gods. He wasn't just handsome, he was imposing. I felt insignificant just looking at him. And my wife, the way she looked at him, the way her eyes lit up, like she was seeing something she had always wanted but never dared to admit. I should have stopped it right there. I should have stood up and said, "Enough," but I didn't. I froze, trapped between. The pride of not wanting to admit that this was tearing me apart, and the fear that if I spoke, she would look at me with disappointment. I was weak, and that weakness kept me in place. The two of them walked past me like I was just another piece of furniture in the room. The guy shook my hand firmly, smiling, as if we were old friends. "Nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you." I wanted to laugh, but I just nodded, trying not to show what I was really feeling. They walked to the bedroom. She didn't even look back, and I just sat there. For a moment, I thought maybe I could ignore it. Maybe if I turned the TV up loud, maybe if I put on headphones, maybe if I just pretended that nothing was happening, it wouldn't be so bad. But then I heard it. I heard things I had never heard before. I heard my wife like I had never heard her before, and it destroyed me. Every sound was a stab to the chest. Every laugh, every gasp, every moan ripped another piece of my dignity away, leaving me sitting there, hands gripping my head, feeling my soul shatter. And then came the final blow. Her voice. "Oh my God, you're huge." I stopped breathing. My entire body went numb. I already knew this guy was different. I already knew I had no chance of competing. But hearing it killed me. I wasn't enough. I never was. And now I knew. I don't know how long I sat there listening, suffering, dying inside. But eventually there was silence. And then laughter. They were talking, as if nothing had happened. As if this was just another casual moment in their lives. And me was done. When they finally came out of the bedroom, she was glowing in a way I had never seen before. The guy patted me on the shoulder before leaving. "Thanks, man. That was amazing." I couldn't respond. The door shut behind him, and then, the worst part, she looked at me and smiled. "Babe, I had no idea it could be like that." She said it with a sparkle in her eyes, with genuine happiness, as if she expected me to be happy for her, as if everything was perfectly fine, but I was never the same again. Never. I stood there staring at her, searching for something in her face that would tell me that what I had just witnessed wasn't real, that maybe somehow it hadn't meant as much to her as it seemed. But I found nothing. All I saw was a woman, glowing with satisfaction, beaming as if tonight had been a gift from the gods, as if I wasn't even there. The silence between us was suffocating, but she didn't seem to notice. "Babe," she started, taking a step toward me. I instinctively stepped back. "No." My voice was low, but it carried a firmness I hadn't expected. She frowned, confused. "What's wrong?" That was the last straw. "What's wrong?" I let out a hollow laugh. "Are you seriously asking me that?" She blinked, as if trying to process my reaction. What happened here tonight wasn't right. My chest burned with frustration. This should have never happened. She crossed her arms. "But we both agreed to it." "No, you agreed to it. You made this decision. You pressured me into accepting it." She rolled her eyes. "You knew this could happen. You insisted on bringing another woman into our bed and I accepted it. But now that I want something, suddenly it's a problem? This was completely different." "Different how? Because you're a man and I'm a woman? Because only you get to have your fantasies fulfilled?" I clenched my fists, feeling my anger rise. "Do you seriously think that's the issue?" She sighed. "Then what is the issue?" "The issue is that you never wanted this for us. You didn't want an experience for our relationship. You wanted him. You already had him in mind before this was even a discussion. This was never about equality or about exploring together. It was about getting what you wanted." She fell silent for a moment. I knew I had struck a nerve. But instead of admitting it, she tried to justify herself. "That's not true." "Oh, really? Then tell me, did you even think about me at any point?" Because I was there, sitting in that living room, listening to everything, listening to you say things you've never said to me, watching you react in ways you never have with me. She bit her lip, searching for words. It was something new, something different. Of course, it felt intense. Different? I cut her off, my voice dripping with bitterness. "This wasn't different. It was better for you. Much better. So much that you didn't even care whether I was there or not. She looked away, unable to respond. It wasn't like that, she murmured. Of course it was. And the worst part? You don't even realize what you've done. You don't even understand that you just broke me. She rolled her eyes again. You're overreacting. That was it. That was the final push. Overreacting? I let out a bitter chuckle. You destroyed everything we built, humiliated me in the worst way possible, and I'm the one overreacting? She stared at me coldly. I didn't cheat on you. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Oh, really? Then tell me, what was this? It was an experience, she insisted. Something within our relationship. If I had done this behind your back, then it would have been cheating. I stared at her, stunned by her audacity. Oh, I see. So if I put a knife in your hand and warn you that I'm going to stab you, does that mean it's not murder? She scoffed, impatient. You're twisting everything. No, I'm not. My voice was steel now. Do you want to know the difference? The difference is that in our threesome, I was still with you. I wanted to share an experience with you. I didn't want another woman. I wanted us to have something together. But you weren't there for me. You only agreed to it because deep down, you already knew what you wanted for yourself. She opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. Because she knew I was right. She had wanted this long before she ever suggested the first threesome. And that hurt the most. I can't stay here. My voice was hollow, the weight of those words crushing me. Her eyes widened. What? I took a deep breath. I can't be with someone who did this to me. Who went through everything that happened tonight and didn't feel a shred of regret. Who had the nerve to smile at me after it was over, as if I should just accept it. Don't be ridiculous, she snapped, her voice shifting, sounding desperate now. You're going to throw away our relationship over this? No, you threw it away when you decided I wasn't enough. She stared at me, searching for something in my face, some hesitation, some doubt, but there was nothing left. I was broken, and she knew it. Babe, please, let's talk. Let's think about this. I love you. I looked at her one last time, and I realized that I didn't love her anymore. Not after what had happened. Not after seeing her glow for another man. Goodbye. Her lips parted as if to say something, but no words came out. I grabbed my things and I walked out of the home that had once been mine, never to return. I didn't look back. I didn't let myself hesitate. Every step I took felt like closing an entire chapter of my life. But the worst part, I didn't know if I would ever be able to start again.